What's up, everybody? Marlacross 316 back with another comic book flashback. Today we are looking at Deadpool, issue number 1. We're looking at the miniseries from 1994, and this issue particularly is from August of 1994. We're going to be looking at this miniseries of the Deadpool. I got a request to cover some Deadpool, and so this is where we'll start. And very early appearances of Deadpool here, gotta love it. And so let's go ahead and dive on in to this mini series. Yes, it is going to be 4 issues, and we're going to look at the first issue for today. And we start out the issue off with a bang here, where it looks like we are at this, it looks like a prison here, and we're seeing this guy continuously scream for hours. The noise of flesh peeling from bone mingled with the keening of prayers to a God that would not answer. So all these guys, it seems like they're being treated and they're being experimented on. And we have all these security guards right around. So what the heck is going on here? As we see, there's no admittance. What is exactly going on? Well, we see right here the man that's being experimented on is none other than Tom Cassidy, Black Tom Cassidy. And he's a big time threat to the X-Men. If you've seen in X-Men comics, so we see here that Black Tom Cassidy being experimented on here, and we have the warden here, and we have this particular doctor, Dr. Killebrew here. He's supposed to be experimenting and trying to treat Black Tom Cassidy, because it seems to be that Tom Cassidy is dealing with a illness here. And I mean, he's looking at Black Tom Cassidy's entire cellular structure, and it's being choked off by this viral wooden growth here. And you see the warden is getting a little impatient here, but we're seeing that Dr. Killebrew can do everything that he can, but I mean, he is not God. He cannot perform miracles. And so we see here that as Black Tom Cassidy is resting here after being experimented on, all of a sudden we see that there's vibrations in this machine shop, and they're not knowing what's going on here exactly. So while all this continuing it with fumes and stuff and the vibrations from the machine shop, all of a sudden we see the door starting to cave in here, and all the security guards are starting to circle in to protect Black Tom Cassidy, and the man that's going to break Tom Cassidy free is none other than the Juggernaut, the longtime best friend of Black Tom Cassidy. And he's like, "Get real, boys. Nothing stops the Juggernaut." And so these guys are trying to take down the Juggernaut here, but Juggernaut is going to take down these guys very easily here. And Juggernaut promises to Black Tom Cassidy that everything will be all right. And he's saying, "It's me, it's Kane. I'm here, man." And then Black Tom Cassidy saying, the doctor. And he's like, "I know, he's tearing you apart, isn't he?" But Black Tom Cassidy wants Juggernaut to take Dr. Killebrew here with them, because Black Tom Cassidy knows that Dr. Killebrew has some files that is very important to Black Tom Cassidy. So Juggernaut's not giving Dr. Killebrew much of a choice here, as he says that you're coming with me here. And we see that in the hands of Dr. Killebrew is none other than a file on Wilson Wade. Wade Wilson. That is going to be the star of our comic series. That is the Deadpool. And so weeks later pass by. We're in New York City, the scenic section. We're at this bar here, and we're met here with Bert. He is in charge of this bar. He's the guy that's serving the beers, serving the good stuff. And while in another area of the bar, he's having a conversation with these guys, and it seems like they're having a conversation with none other than Deadpool. And he's talking to them about how he went face to face with the Wolverine, X-Men's own Wolverine. We have this chick, she comes on by, and he's basically like, "Look, you want to see some of my scars?" And he takes off the bandage, and oh my goodness, she drops her glass of beer here and just runs out of the room here. and we see the grotesque look of what happened to, I mean, my goodness, Deadpool is something else. He's a face that a mother couldn't love. And so, before we continue this story, let's go ahead and give credit where credit is due. This is brought to you by Mark Waid, who wrote this issue. We also have Ian Churchill doing the penciling, Jason Miner on the inking. We have also the lettering by Morshed and Thomas, who are the colorists. Actually, the Starking's Comic Craft is a lettering. Suzanne Gaffney, the editor. Bob Harris, group editor, and Tom DeFalco, who is the other guy. And so this woman, she runs out. I mean, she's looking at, I mean, got a good glimpse of Deadpool's face, and he's still having a conversation with Bert, and he's like, man, you're hurting my business, Deadpool. All these chicks are running out of here because of your face here. And he's like, oh, so add it to my tab. And he's like, how in the world did you get those scars? Was it because of Wolverine? And he's like, no, that's my secret beauty. Basically, he got these scars from the Canadian government, as the Canadian government wanted to put in a package deal here where they would treat him because Deadpool at the time had cancer, the big C, cancer. And if he basically worked for the Canadian government as a mercenary, they would experiment. And Viola, he has what we're going to see in this issue, if you don't know much about Deadpool, is he has cellular regeneration powers. So you chop off his head will grow back. You chop off his arm will grow back. But what we're going to see here as we continue this story is that it looks like Deadpool's cellular generation is starting to decline here. So Wade Wilson, he's putting on his Deadpool mask. All of a sudden, we have a bunch of Black Tom Cassidy's armed guards here come in. They're on the search for Deadpool. They want to basically either assassinate Deadpool or bring him into custody and bring him to Black Tom Cassidy. So they're going to try to roughen up Deadpool, and he's like, oh, come on, guys. I'm not in the mood for this. But he's like, but on the other hand, and so we see that they're not going to give Deadpool much of a choice here, as one of Black Tom Cassidy's guards shoots this missile launcher right in the midst of Deadpool, and the entire bar just explodes. And I mean, the bar is just gone. So we think that Deadpool at this point, he'd be dead, but it looks like Deadpool, it didn't even stop Deadpool at all. And so Deadpool is extremely strong in this, and so he's going to get mad because this is pretty much the only beer place that he can go drink, basically in the Panhandle, as is in Florida, and now he's not going to be able to find another place that will serve him drinks because of the way he looks. He said he won't even get in because of in a Taco Bell. That's how bad it is. And so we see that they're trying their best to stop Deadpool. Nothing seems to stop him. And I mean, there's all kinds of jokes throughout this. I mean, that's one thing about the Deadpool that if you don't know about him, makes a lot of wisecracks. He doesn't take himself too serious. And one thing is for certain, I mean, he is super strong. I mean, he almost, punches right through this guy's spine here. And so all these guys are starting to run away. I mean, there's no stopping Deadpool here. I mean, there's just no competition here. But it looks like they're going to go to Plan B as they try to freeze Deadpool alive here in this ice cube. And so that seems to stop Deadpool for a time. But as we continue to see, there is an interruption here with this sonic scream. And it's not coming from Deadpool. It's coming from someone else. It just so happens to be Banshee. That's right, Sean Cassidy. The X-Men's own Sean Cassidy comes to the aid of the Deadpool here. And, I mean, Deadpool is like, Banshee? He says, figures you always were a step behind, Irish. And then he's like, oh, better than living a step ahead of the law. Still every bit the trouble, Magnet, eh? And so we see here that Sean Cassidy came at the right time here. We know that Sean Cassidy is related to Black Tom Cassidy, as they're both cousins here. And so we see that we're also going to be joined here by his daughter, Siren. That is going to be Banshee's daughter here, Siren. She has some of the same powers as Banshee here. And so Banshee came with the aid of his daughter here. So that's pretty cool here. We got Banshee, Deadpool, and Siren all in the same comic here. And we see that Sean Cassidy wants to go after Black Tom Cassidy to bring him to justice, as Black Tom Cassidy escaped prison. And we see that Deadpool actually wants to team up with his daughter because he thinks she's hot, which, I mean, my goodness, she is. But we see that Sean Cassidy is being kind of hesitant at first, but we see that he promises to treat her fine. And, I mean, come on. Why doesn't he trust Deadpool for once? And so he's like, all right, but if anything happens to her, you know, I'm coming after you, Deadpool. And so we see as the comic continues, um, basically Deadpool and Banshee are going to go their separate ways, but Siren is going to join with Deadpool. It looks like one of Black Tom Cassidy's guards then gets up to try to basically take off the head of Siren, but we see here that Deadpool uses his sword here to counter attack basically Black Tom Cassidy's guard here. And I mean, he came at the right minute. I mean, my goodness, Siren could have just died right there. And so we see here that then Deadpool uses his elbow to break the neck of this guy. But it seems like, well, it didn't really break his neck, but it caused a disturbance here. And we see here that Deadpool and this guy are going to go right at each other here. And, I mean, just one heck of a battle scene right here. As they're fighting, we see that then Deadpool's hand is chopped off. One of his hands is chopped off here. He's like, oh, why did you do that? It's, I'm showing off in front of the Brodesky here, and you're making me look goofy. And so we see here that then he punches through the spine of this one guy right here, causing him to pretty much be passed out or die. I don't know exactly what happened to that guy. But we see that he's promising Siren that his hand will grow back. And as time goes on, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 seconds go by. And Deadpool then passes out in a pool of blood. And so what's going to happen next issue? Will Deadpool's hand grow back? That's the big thing here, as well as we're going to find out more of Black Tom's secrets and schemes. The whole story behind Banshee's first meeting with Wade Wilson, we'll learn that next issue, and then a rematch of the Century with the Juggernaut. That's all coming next issue. I hope to see you there as we learn more about this series and continue this series. So I hope you like this issue. Go ahead, give this video a like, and I will see y'all next time.